Hey, it's Mike Nunemaker with Howard Hanna Real Estate Services, 614-588-9946.
Hi, I'm Trinell Curtis, and this is my husband.
Mike.
We are just going to talk a little bit about our process of our home buying. So, a little bit of a backstory. We started in summer of, I think it was August of 21, started really searching for a home. We quickly found out that it was going to be harder than what we thought. We did see a couple of homes. We had like a realtor we were in contact with. It didn't really go anywhere. And so I was kind of disappointed by the fall of 21. I do remember driving to work one day saying, I don't feel like we're ever going to be homeowners. Like, it's just not a possibility. So, flash forward to the beginning of this year, 2022. I was scrolling through Facebook. I just saw a real quick ad for a realtor. It was talking about build your home while you build your credit. It said click here for more information. So I did. And it took me to a realtor, Mike Nunemaker. I was at work, I remember that day, and Mike called me, and I was just getting off of work. We had a conversation. He was very open with the program. He said, he was involved with it, and we just had to go meet a few people. I had a lot of questions, so he was just telling me, about the process. We could meet. He would set an appointment for me. Really easy. I told him, Sunday worked best. I think this was like maybe a Wednesday or Thursday. So he got us in on a Sunday. So I remember thinking, like I told you, I was like, hey, I've seen this realtor around Pickerington like a few times. I've seen the name before. I think this is where we need to be. So that's who I decided to go with. Sunday, and we hadn't met him before this either. I just had a feeling. Sunday, we got to the office of the builder where Mike met us there and one of his partners, and we kind of just went over the process. So I remember, like, after that, you kept saying, like, is this real?
Right.
Yeah. I remember we asked Mike, like, this is too good to be true. Like, are we really about to sign a contract for a home? Not even just a home, like a new home. Something that I really didn't feel like was ever going to be possible for us to have a home, but build a home. So I think Mike just kept seeing our shock on our faces. Like, is this what we're really doing?
I think I remember him saying, oh, it's real.
So after that, we met back again in a week, went over our contract and everything. Mike was there. Any questions that we had during that process, he answered. He also, would interject in certain periods when we were going through our contract, said, hey, you guys be on the lookout for this, be on the lookout for that. It was just really informative. I kind of felt better at that aspect because this was 7 days after we signed the contract. We went over it. I felt better about the situation. I felt like this was really a possibility for us. I felt like we were in good hands. He told me that he was going to make us get to the finish line.
He was going to make it happen.
He was going to make it happen. He would tell us what we needed to do. He would be with us every step of the way and get us to the finish line. I've never felt more comfortable in a realtor than when I was with Mike, because the other realtors that we had talked to in the past, they never gave us any type of assurance. I felt like
a number.
Like a number.
Yeah.
Like we were just a number for other realtors, but Mike actually saw us for the couple we were, our family, and he's from Pickerington, and we told him we were moving back to Pickerington, so it just felt genuine. So February to June is where we needed to get through. In between that time, we're building, working on things that we needed to work on for our credit.
Going crazy.
And every time I had a question, or every time finance would send me some crazy numbers, I would text Mike and say, hey, do you have a minute to talk? In the matter of 10 minutes tops, he would call me or text me back and say, absolutely, you want me to call you or call me? Like, that was the question.
Yeah.
So I would call him and be like, hey, this is not making sense, or finance just sent over, these numbers, and this is not what we talked about. So he literally sat there and would break stuff down for me. And if he couldn't answer a question, he would call the finance guy or the builder's representative and get the answer that he needed and then get back to me.
Yes.
I can't even tell you like how lost I would have been without Mike. There's neighbors that did not have a realtor, and I can't
Horror stories.
Yeah. I can't even imagine how this process would have been with anybody but Mike. There were a lot of times, especially with the finance department, that we just weren't seeing eye to eye, and they could not understand my frustration. If I told Mike, hey, A, B, and C is happening and I don't feel comfortable with it, Mike expressed that for me. He was definitely the third person that I needed to really get across to other people. This is what they're feeling, and I need a resolution.
He was our real voice.
Yeah, he was definitely the voice that we needed, our advocate. There would be 7 o'clock at night. He would be on the phone finding answers for us because...
I felt bad.
I know. Like, I called him. He was at baseball one time, but he talked to me. So it was really just what we needed. I think what made it even better is when we were sitting in our contract meeting, he said, hey, where do you work at? And I told him, and he was like, oh my gosh, my family works there. And his family is my supervisor. So I felt like it was definitely meant to be.
Yeah.
I found him just because I've seen his name around town, but he knows somebody that I'm pretty close with because it's my supervisor. So I'm like, well, this is actually the realtor that we needed.
Yeah.
So flash forward to summer. We're getting closer to closing on our home. It's coming to be crunch time.
Everyone's hair is short.
I can remember like still going back and forth with finance. Mike met us for our final walkthrough of the home, and he was so excited. He couldn't wait. And I walk in, just getting off the phone with finance, and I'm like crying. And he's like, what is happening? And I'm like, this is still what's going on. And Mike whipped out his phone, and he's like, we're going to figure this out. We're going to figure this out tonight. Because at that point, we were a week from closing, doing our final walkthrough with Mike. And he did. He figured it out. That night, we got the answer that we needed for the moment. We did our final walkthrough, and there was a lot of things with our new home that we weren't aware of. The cement.
Yeah.
Like Mike told us, hey guys, you need to seal your cement because of reasons A, B, and C.
Yeah.
Had no idea. A lot of stuff that he was pointing out to us as we were walking around the house, things we wouldn't have thought of, but things he thought of because that's what he's there for us. Things that we've shared with our neighbors that they had no idea about.
Right.
Just an advocate for us. Things that we needed to point out to the builders that needed fixed that we wouldn't have said, hey, fix this. Mike showed us what we needed to do.
And look out for things in the future.
Yep. Things to prepare us to be homeowners. We finally got to closing day. Closing day was eventful. Mike was on the phone all day, as I was on the phone all day, getting us to the finish line like he told us he would do. I remember pulling up to the office to close, and Mike was sitting there in the car, and he looked at me, and I'm like in tears because he got us to the finish line. I mean, I don't know, again, how I would have done this project, this undertaking of our new beautiful home without Mike.
Definitely dream maker.
Yeah. I mean,
definitely.
If I remember at one point, Mike told me, if this is not meant to be, then God has something better for you.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh my God, this is my person. Like, I will always go to Mike with anything because even if he couldn't get us to this finish line, he would have got us to a finish line. Like, we would have been homeowners regardless. If we didn't get this home we would have had a home.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it.
Along with the new friend.
A friend for life.
Yeah.
I mean, I just couldn't imagine doing this without him or on our own. So I'm so grateful that we met him and know him, and he is our friend, family forever.
Yeah.